Welcome to your crash course in using LinkLender. First thing you want to do is log in, and once you are signed in, this system logon screen must remain open as long as you are working in LinkLender. That means that you will click Launch Session many times if you need to. You can launch session 2 or 3 times if you have multiple things that you're working on at the same time, but they will open in different tabs. And as long as this system logon tab remains open, so you don't want to X that out, your session will remain active. A couple of things just on the setup side. If you would like to see the work queue as your default page whenever you launch a session, or if you would rather see your existing applications tab when you launch, third option is you can have your home page launching when you first log in. My personal preference and my recommendation would be to go straight into the work queue because that is where you're going to see any new applications that have been received. Under the tools, you can go to user options, and it's always a good first step. Double check if your home page is pointing to the work queue and select that. Double check that your email notifications are all set to yes, so that you will indeed be receiving email notifications when deals start coming through to you. Click OK when you are done. Another first step is to go into your lender products and double check that all of the lender products that are listed are what you would like the brokers to be able to select from their side. So as you can see here, I'm showing all of my products, including some that have already expired. I can choose to look at only my current products or only my future products. I have none. My expired products are listed here. So have a look through your current products and make sure that you have a 1 year, if that's what you offer, a 3-year, fixed or variable, whatever types of products that make sense to you. Make sure that you have them listed in here with the correct term and with whatever posted rate you would like to be visible when a broker is searching through your product list. To add a brand new product, you click here. To modify any of these products, you click to highlight and you hit the product details for editing anything that is pre-existing. OK saves, cancel does not. For quick rate changes moving forward, you want to click on the product, select the rate that you would like to change it to, and select what day and time this rate will be effective. Click accept when you are done. You can now see that I have a future product that's going to flip over when that date and time come up. You can look at the rate history and make a few quick changes. You can see here I have 2 to 11 of 21 products visible. So the single arrow will take you product line at a time. The double arrow will take you a whole page at a time. And the arrow at the end there will take you to the beginning or the end of the list. Benchmark rate for your lender, 3-year posted rate for your lender. These are the products that your brokers can select if they are using Velocity. Another thing that is really helpful is the organization lookup. We will set up all of your users from the beginning, but at any point in time, you can select a specific user. You can click on edit, and in here you have a couple of options. You could change their active to date so that they no longer have access to the system. You can take roles away or add more roles in if people need more permissions, and you can send them their login details via an invite. This is also where you're going to find the ability to add new users in. The trick to adding a new user is to select which office or group the user will be listed under, or list them at your main head office level. So I'm going to set up a new user under the Toronto office. I'm going to click add. I'm going to set up a new individual, and I'm going to click continue. Anything that's listed in red are mandatory fields that must be completed for the new user, and then I would click OK to save. Your conditions are all uploaded for you under the Conditions tab. You can come in here to make any edits, add new conditions, or delete conditions after the main setup. And you can set up templates. We can talk more about templates in another video. Now let's get into our submitted applications. Submitted applications will always show up in your work queue, and unless you've changed it in your user options, you will be notified by email if you're not logged into LinkLender. New applications look like this. They show a task name called Review New Application. Once you have reviewed a deal but have not yet given an approval or a decline, the task will change to Decision Pending. And if your broker has sent you an updated application, adding information, removing information, or requesting something different, that will come through as an update. Click on the deal that you wish to access and click Select. Application/approval summary screen. To come back to this page at any time, you can find it under the Application Processing menu on the left-hand sidebar. Application Summary is highlighted here in purple. Your task list, we've already talked about tasks. Your Lender Interaction tab is where comments from your broker, the story that they are providing, will be visible. Lender Interaction. Any communication that goes back from you to your broker will also be visible as we process this file. The Notes section is where you can create your own internal deal notes or rationale notes. And Submitter of Record is where you will find the contact information, phone number, and email address for the submitting broker. There is a summary of the application visible at the very bottom. I can send comments or questions back to my broker if I have any by typing them into the lender comments box and clicking Send. The very first thing I always recommend anybody do is to come over to the Documents section and to take a snapshot or create a PDF of this mortgage application, just in case you end up changing any details, either on purpose or accidentally. It will always allow you to come back and see how the application looked exactly as submitted by the broker. So Documents, you're going to click Generate. You're going to ask for a mortgage application. Click Generate. You will notice when it's complete, this extra window will close on its own, and it will bring you back to the page where you can see the mortgage application has been date and time stamped. The next thing I recommend doing, my step 2, is normally going to the credit check section. If the broker has provided credit bureaus for your clients, they will be visible in this top section here. I've got 2 clients with a 650 and a 663 beacon score. Equifax was the provider for both of these credit bureaus, and by clicking on either of these view icons, I can review the broker provided credit bureau. If I would like to request my own credit bureau, I can select the clients, decide if I want to go to Equifax or TransUnion, depending on how we've set you up, and I can click Get Credit Report. Now, I'll show you all the rest of the screens and you can decide which one of these might matter to you when you are making a decision on your application, starting with employment. I have 2 borrowers listed here and 2 entries on my employment screen. I can see here that Wayne is employed $100,000 and he started on the 1st of February 2015. And I can see more details down here about his permanent full-time status, the name of the company, how the breakdown of his income is listed, and any additional provided information such as business phone number. If I switch to Shane Joseph by clicking, then all the details down below will switch accordingly. If, for example, they're saying that he earns $100,000, and when I'm confirming his income, I realize that he actually earns more or less, I can make my adjustments in here and I can save or apply any changes to see if the GDS and TDS still work. If there was any additional income, such as alimony, child support, investments, they would be listed under the Other Income section. If I click OK, it takes me to the real estate summary. Here is where I will see any properties this client currently owns. I can see here that the first property is owned by Wayne. The second property is owned by Shane. They both live at 2 separate addresses. Each of these properties would have their own estimated value. If there was a mortgage, it would be listed here, and all the mortgage particulars would also be listed. The way that this broker has submitted this file, it looks like both of these homes are free and clear. Assets and liabilities is next. Here I can see where the total assets are for each client and what the total liabilities are. If I have forgotten about the credit check up until this point, there is a second way to access the credit bureau by going to that same screen I showed you a few minutes back. And here's where you can also make changes. If you wanted to see what happens if debts are paid out or limits were increased or monthly payments were increased, how that affects your ratios, you are welcome to play with any of these fields. Bankruptcy history, if there has been a previous bankruptcy, and subject property details. This is the property that is being mortgaged, and so this is where you can find all of the broker provided information. The loan details page is arguably the most important screen. This is where your funding date can be adjusted if it's not conducive to your underwriting timelines. The amount requested is what you would be approving if you decide to approve this deal. So feel free to double check that all of these numbers are making sense. You can see here where the down payment or equity is coming from, that they have selected CMHC insurance the broker has, and the insurance premium that's being calculated in here. This one has a 40-year amortization and a 5-year term. This is the product that was selected. If for whatever reason they don't qualify for the product that they have selected and you would like to change it for a different product, you can click the Change Product button. You can see all of the different products that are available for the 5-year term, or all of the products that you have available regardless of what term it is. Let's say I'm looking for the 4-year fixed. Then by searching all, I will find the 4-year fixed. I will select, it will plug in that posted rate, and then I can make adjustments if I need to qualify this rate based on something bigger. So I want this client to have 4.9. I would type that in here instead. Biweekly payments, qualifying rate, and any insurance premium, sales tax, administration fees, lender fees can all be added in this cost detail section. This is where, if you're generating a commitment from LinkLender, this is where all of the numbers are going to pull from: subject property and loan details. If I'm ready to approve this deal conditionally, I'm going to add conditions. You can add conditions one at a time, or you can add groups of conditions called templates. If we've set up templates for you, you will find your templates in here. If I click Add Condition, I would be adding conditions one by one. I would be selecting that I need an appraisal. I would be selecting that I need down payment via gift letter, and I would be going through all of my different conditions that I need. The other option is that I could have different templates ready to go for me, so I don't have to do as much individual selections. As an example, in my test lender, I have a purchase template. I have a high ratio purchase template. I have one that I use for refinances, one that I use for second mortgages, and one that I use if my clients are self-employed. When I select any of these, so my refinance template will contain all of my typical terms and conditions, anything that I ask for in the case of every single refinance. If they also happen to be self-employed, I would add this group of conditions as well. So I double click so that it says yes. I click OK. And then when I return to the conditions applied page, you can see here that I've had 21 individual conditions automatically applied because those are the conditions that were contained within those 2 templates. If I want to add more or add unique conditions, I would continue to go through the list until I had every condition that I'm looking for. You can sort these by your condition number. You can sort them by type. All of my down payment conditions would be grouped together. All of my income conditions and property conditions would be grouped together. Or if you know the exact condition name, you can sort the conditions alphabetically. The conditions that are listed in bold text are editable, and the conditions that are not in bold text are not editable. That means that any condition that I see here in normal text cannot have the wording changed within those conditions. Some lenders have conditions that are set in stone and cannot be changed at the underwriter's discretion. Any of these conditions that have been listed in bold are completely editable, and some of them have specific fields that are input required from you. So what I normally do is I click Edit Conditions to narrow the list down. Here are all of my editable conditions in a much easier to read format. I would go through each of these and see if there was anything required from me within each condition. And clicking Next is the easiest way to do that because it will highlight if there is any required input from you. This particular condition, called branch fulfillment, has no required input. But if I wanted to, I could add text here, or I could replace the entire condition text if that was something that made sense for me. So editable conditions can be completely replaced. I'm going to click on the second condition and see if any input is required. None. I can edit, or I can move on to the next one in line. Following debts must be paid prior to funding, and I would list all the debts that I want to see paid off. Down payment multiple sources. When I click Next on this one, there is in fact required field from me. Written confirmation of down payment of $35,000 from non-borrowed. So that's an example of something that was set up where the underwriter must stipulate the specifics of that condition. So I just go down the list and look for anything that is absolutely required from me. And if it's not absolutely required from me, then I would leave it and or adjust it as needed. So you can see here, I need a letter of employment for Wayne showing an annual, spelling mistake, salary of $70,000. Company letterhead must include, nothing else that is required from here. But if I wanted to, I could say it must also indicate that he is not on probation. So as you can see, I can edit anything that I want to edit in here and keep going down the line until you are done. When you are finished with conditions, you can click OK. As these conditions start coming in, you are able to go down this list and say, yes, this condition was accepted. This condition has also been accepted, and so has this condition. So you are able to track the status of all of your conditions and sort them out and say, okay, I only have 3 conditions accepted out of 21. We have a long way to go on this file yet. Click OK. To create a LinkLender commitment letter, go to Documents. You click Generate, just like when we did it before, but this time instead of selecting Mortgage Application, we click Lender Commitment Letter, and we click Generate. I always recommend taking a look at the lender commitment letter to make sure that you didn't miss anything or get anything wrong. This is what we're actually going to send back to your broker. So double check that all of your numbers are making sense. Double check that you didn't miss any of these required fields in your condition section. Here you go. Here's an example of one that was left blank and should have probably been filled in. It looks like a free form condition. So go back and make any of your changes, and then you're going to regenerate the form once you have fixed it. After you have confirmed that the commitment letter looks good, you want to click here to grant access to your broker. When you send back an approval, if you don't check this check mark, they won't be able to find the commitment letter from you. Last but not least, you go to the application summary screen. This is where we started and is where we end our application. If you have a lender reference number, your lender reference number would go here. If your offer expires in a week or 2, then you can list that there as well. Later on, you can put in your signed offer date when you have received it. Click the decline button if you wish to decline. Click the approve button if you prefer to approve the deal. Regardless of your choice, you have to put a comment in and you have to click send. Let me repeat the order this must be done for your broker to successfully receive your commitment letter. You have to do your conditions first, create your commitment letter second, come back to this page and click approved third, enter your comments fourth, and click send. Not okay in this case, click send for that approval to go to your broker. And that's it. To exit this application, you can click any of the menu items on the main menu. I normally just go straight back to my work queue and click OK to exit the application. Until you've clicked OK, your application is still open here. You'll notice the difference when I exit my application completely. My sidebar is gone and that deal has disappeared from my work queue. I have nothing else to do on that application. I can still find that deal under my existing applications list. There you can see my deal is approved. If they call me and have questions, I will find it under my applications tab. I only see a deal in my work queue if there is something outstanding to be done. I hope that helps. I know it was pretty quick, but please feel free to call me or reach out to anybody at their customer care team. We would be happy to answer more questions for you. Thank you so much for choosing LinkLender.